Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
You'll get the whole conversation, of course, through the day. Interesting conversation going on, but let's focus on the stock of the moment for last 2 days. That's Lupin. Quite a bit of setback for Lupin from the US drug regulator, which issued a combined warning letter to its Goa and Pithampur Unit 2 sites. We have Ramesh Swaminathan, ED and CFO of Lupin, now joining us. Ramesh, good morning. The market was hoping that you will get an EIR. In fact, you got a warning letter. What went wrong? And what's your reaction? I mean, what are your next steps going to be?
As we were explaining yesterday, this caught us off by surprise because we were not expecting to get a warning letter at all. And as you mentioned, we were in fact lining up for an EIR. This comes as a total surprise to us, but we would do what it takes to get this off back at the earliest. I do think that will take between 12 to 15 months for resolution, though.
Okay.
12 to 15 months. Ekta is also with us.
Okay. Mr. Swaminathan, hi. Thank you very much for joining in this morning. When we had spoken, there was expectations of that particular establishment inspection report, at least for the Goa facility. I just wanted to put it out of the way and ask you that whether you're in fact had a VAI from the USFDA, a voluntary action indicated status for the Goa facility, and hence was there a change which took place?
No, whilst we did not expect this to turn out to be a warning letter, internally we still thought that it was something which that were quite in the clear, and we were expecting an EIR, as I just explained a few minutes ago. This comes as an absolute total surprise to us, and there's of course a setback. But as I was saying, we would do what it takes to kind of get this settled as early as possible.
What were the contents of the warning letter? I understand that most of the work which needs to be done is retrospective studies. So can you give us a sense in terms of what the content of the warning letter is, clarify whether there's any data integrity, and if you indeed talk about retrospective studies, how long would it take?
So there are two observations, which have been commented upon. The most important thing is it's not going to disrupt supplies, and there's of course no whiff of anything on data integrity or anything of that kind. The first one relates to, in fact, out of specification range, and that is essentially leading to our sampling. So they want us, and we had actually changed our methodology, and as you mentioned, actually it's prospective, whilst they would like it to be done for retrospective batches as well. The second one is relating to holding the time stability test, and this again, they would like us to do it retrospectively, going back at least a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, so to speak.
Okay. Ramesh, you said 12 to 15 months. What about earnings impact? You have been on record that FY19 is not going to be great. FY20 is when you really start earnings to kick in. So from this move, is there going to be an earnings impact?
We think it's going to be marginal. Whilst we did say that 18 and 19 are going to be lackluster years, there would have been at least about 20 to 30 products that you would launch from these two sites, so to speak. But the more important ones would be launched, we would take a site change and potentially launch it from another plant. The most important of these, fortunately for us, are not from this plant.
Okay. Well, Ramesh, I just actually wanted to extend that point further. Can you give us a status in terms of where exactly the other plants lie in terms of a status with the USFDA? Because we know that there were some observations for Pithampur Unit 3. Then we do understand that there was Aurangabad, which had 8 observations outstanding as well. Right now, which are the plants which are in the clear by the USFDA, and which are the plants that you need to hear from incrementally in terms of any sort of action?
So plant 1 at Pithampur is in the clear. It actually is our OC's plant. There is also potent manufacturing happening from out there. Plant 3 relates to, in fact, inhalation and respiratory products. Plant 2, of course, is affected. We have, in fact, some production coming in from Aurangabad, which is absolutely in the clear. And of course, you got Mian as well, which is one of our newer facilities. So any site change would be potentially from, in fact, a Mian plant.
So, Ramesh, to sort of distill this down, a couple of months back when we spoke, essentially FY20 was supposed to be the big year for the company when growth came back, and you were going to sort of expand your complex generics portfolio as well.
Yes.
Will these side transfers happen in time? So the guidance that you had given out to the market back then, does that guidance still hold after this event?
Yes, it does. By complex generics actually meant the respiratory portfolio, and this is obviously not impacted at all, and that's certainly online. And insofar, and because you've got complex injectables and the like, coming thereafter, and those would not be impacted at all. So the reason FY20 is not impacted, the marginal impact on FY19, and there again, as I said, some of the more important products should do a side transfer.
Okay. By yesterday on the investor call, I heard Mr. Nilesh Gupta mention, or analysts were talking about this as well, that eventually it should probably take around 6 odd months, on a upper scale of a version, to basically try and re-invite the USFDA for a re-inspection. Does that still hold?
Absolutely. That's our internal calculation. We do think that will take us about 6 months for us to do all this retrospective studies and the like. So we would be in a position to invite the FDA 6 months down the road.
And do you need a re-inspection of these plants in order to probably lift the warning letter? I'm assuming so.
I would imagine so. This is really up to the FDA, and it's up to them to do what they think is necessary.
And do you expect any other regulators to probably re-inspect the plant post the warning letter, simply because of how closely Health Canada, say, works with the US, etc., and maybe even European regulators? Are we expecting any sort of re-inspection soon enough on account of this?
It might trigger something, but we are not upset about that. We'll take it as it comes. It wouldn't impact us too much, really.
So, Ramesh, can you help us understand what to expect in FY19? Because, till this is rectified in FY20 onwards, you're saying that, you'll be back and the pipeline won't be hit. In the interim, with the price erosion on the current big products like Mths and Fortimet, and the fact that you'll be busy with site transfers, etc., what is the revenue implication for FY19?
It won't derail our prospects too much, really. As we mentioned, FY19 is indeed going to be a lackluster year. But we did line up a few products for, in fact, launching in the next 18 months, so to speak. Some of this will obviously be impacted, but I do think that the overall impact is going to be pretty marginal.
Okay.
Can you quantify that? I mean, from
not at this stage. It's pretty difficult, but the more important ones, as already said, ranolazine, for example, we would do a site transfer. Levothyroxine is not really impacted at all, and neither of these, any of these company generics that we intend doing. And of course, specialty is very much on track. We bought Solosec recently, Secondazole, and that's out of the US itself. Now, Gavis, of course, is also going pretty okay with, in fact, its portfolio of products. Okay. So FY19 would be impacted a bit, but I don't think it's going to be huge from our perspective.
Okay, just two last questions from me then. So levothyroxine, you mentioned, should not be impacted. Which plant is it filed from, as well as Tamiflu generic? And when can we expect these two to probably see an approval?
Well, it is not from these impacted facilities. It is from other plants that are functional.
Okay, fair enough. Launch date? Anything that you can work with?
We stay with the old dates, the dates that we actually spoke about.
A quick last question, Ramesh, and this comes as a strategy question, because for more reasons than one, a lot of companies are focusing inwards, and we saw that with even Torrent Pharmaceuticals buying Unichem's domestic business in order to grow India vis-a-vis the US, or maybe make India more of a strategic market. Is that maybe a strategy that eventually Lupin would be contemplating, that maybe US would probably take a secondary step in terms of strategy or key markets, simply because of the issues such as consolidation of distributors and whatnot?
US is certainly a very important market for us, but neither have we taken the ball out of in fact, the India market. It's always something which is always interesting to us. The issue about India has been that most of these businesses are in the hands of first generation or second generation entrepreneurs, and there's a sentimental attachment, and unless that's set to change, and but at some point, I think there would be a consolidation wave in India, and we would certainly like to be participants in that in terms of acquiring businesses out here.
Okay,